Hey guys, what's going on? Yugioh here. I am doing a deck profile for Monarch, seeing as how they're kind of getting some resurgence. I figured it would be a good time to do a deck profile for them. Granted, this is not the exact deck that I used when I actually played it, because I actually had 3 Aethers in my original deck, and this one only has 1, because when Aether got hit to 1, I think I put the other 2 in my trade binder and I traded them off. I could just buy 2 more or just proxy them, but this is the build that I have for now. But I definitely would play 3 Aether. I mean, there is a reason she got restricted to 1. So I think I used to play 1 Caius, the Mega Monarch. This build has 2, but these would definitely be 2 Aethers, or I would have to switch a different monster for the Aethers. But you definitely want to have a good number of level 8s, and I'll tell you why later. You need to have them to be able to use trade-in. 1 Karaz, just for the popping effect, to be able to draw or to interrupt your opponent. You really need to play at least 1 of him. And that's also why you need 3 Aether, because Aether is the one that brings him out on your opponent's turn, so you can interrupt your opponent. Just using him on your turn is just okay. I mean, you can pop your cards and draw, so that's okay, but it's not as good as interrupting your opponent. 1 Majesty's Fiend, there really shouldn't be any explanation there. No monster effects can activate. And then if you have the domain lock, it's probably going to be a good game. But 3 Erebus, that's a staple. He's non-targeting removal for, I believe it's hand, field, and graveyard. I'd have to read them again, but I'm pretty sure it's all 3 of those. And then I play 2 of Mithra because you need to, other than your tributing monsters, you need to have other monsters that you can special summon. Because if your normal summon gets stopped, either your Idea or your Eidos, however you say it, if those normal summons get stopped, you're just done. So you need to have something that can special summon out. So you need to play, I would say, probably 2 is good. I think that's how many I played in my original build, maybe 3, but at least 2. You need to be able to do something. And then for your normal summons, not tribute summons, 3 copies of Idea, that's standard. She's the one that special summons out Eidos, and you, of course, play 3 of him. That is standard as well. And that is he has the effect that allows you to do an extra, it's either extra normal summon or tribute summon. I have to read it again. I think it's an extra summon, extra normal summon. And then 3 Pantheism. The only reason the deck is playable again, because Pantheism's back to 3. There should be no explanation. That's mandatory 3. I play 3 Domain of the True Monarchs. This is personal preference, but that's because when the deck was at full power, it was because of the domain lock. I don't know if the domain lock's as powerful today, but if they don't have an out to it, and then they can't go into their extra deck, so it's still pretty good in that regards. This is personal preference. I'd say probably most people use 1 or 2 of the Prime Monarch. I have 3 in here, but you could easily swap 1 or 2 of these for an Aether. Aether? Mandatory, play 3 Monarch Stormforth. There should be no question. Tributing your monsters, and then tributing your opponent's monsters, and then being able to tribute them on your opponent's turn as well with Aether's effect. That combo is the reason why Aether was restricted to 1, is because you were tributing your opponent's monsters off on their turn, and then getting Aether's effect to bring out Kuraz to pop cards. And it just, to be able to do that over and over again, that's why Aether got restricted to 1. 3 Tenacity, standard, obvious, you play 3 of that. 1 March of the Monarchs. This prevents all of your tribute summon monsters from being targeted, so they can't negate it with like Infinite Impermanence or Veiler or anything like that. So for my deck, 1 is mandatory to prevent that targeting. This is probably personal preference. You can probably play one of this, but at least one Return of the Monarchs, because it allows you to search for another Monarch, Tribute Monarch, after you Tribute Summon. And it's also, you can use it for chain blocking too, when there's another effect going off, like Aether or Erebus. And then this is personal preference, but 2 trade-in, and that's why I said you want to make sure that you have some level 8s in the deck, because you want to have draw power, because you can brick a lot in this deck. So you need to have cards that help you unbrick. So I would say at least 1 trade-in. I play 2. You need to at least play 1 copy of 1 for 1. Again, you need to be able to special summon. And guess who is a level 1 that you want to be able to get out? You want to be able to get out Idea. Idea? Level 1. And that's why you have mandatory use 1 for 1 to get that free special summon, and then that special summons out your, not Erebus, the other small guy, Eidos. And 1 copy of Reinforcement, because both of, not both of them, sorry, I guess just Idea. Just Idea is the warrior, but you want to search her out. Yeah, if she's normal or special summoned, you can special summon a monster with 800 attack and 1000 defense from your deck and defense, so she can special summon either Mithra or Eidos. And you want to special summon Eidos because that gives you the extra normal summon. I believe it's extra normal summon. Normal special summon, you can tribute summon 1 monster in addition to your normal summon set. Okay, so it gives you an extra tribute summon. So you can normal summon him and then get the tribute summon. So that's why mandatory 1 copy of that. 1 copy of Foolish Burial, because this guy, he has a grave effect. I believe it's him that has a grave effect to special summon Idea. Idea has a graveyard effect, and also Erebus has a graveyard effect, which I won't go over right now. But then 1 copy of Reasoning, because again, you need to be able to special summon whenever you can to be able to get to your tribute summon. And this is not a full side. This is the domain build, so there's no extra deck. And this is not a full side, but some side cards that you could use would be Escalation, which allows you to tribute on your opponent's turn, and you don't have any restrictions on that. You could just you could normal summon something and then try and tribute summon if they negate the effect, and then you say, okay, pass, and set Escalation. Play Escalation, and then you can tribute your monster to bring out something that's 1 tribute, like Majesty's Fiend. Probably want to play Vanity's Fiend too. Frost Blast is kind of your option. I think this was, yeah, this was an old side. But yeah, yep, there's Vanity's Fiend. So you do play Vanity's Fiend. Summoning Curse is another tech card. Mind Drain's not really relevant now. But basically, Summoning Curse says every single time you or your opponent special summon a monster, you have to banish 1 card in their hand. So if monster special summon, the controller of that monster chooses 1 card in their hand. So you get to choose it and remove it from play. During each end phase, you have to pay 500 life points or destroy this card. So I was actually using this in tandem with Kaijus, and I would play Summoning Curse, and I would summon a Kaiju to their field. So I would special summon, but I only normal summon, so it would never hurt me. The only time you're going to special summon is your trap card or with the effect of Idea. Everything else, or I guess Mithra. Everything else is going to be a normal summon. Well, I guess Aether. No, well, Aether can special summon from the deck, so. But for the most part, you're going to normal summon monsters. So Summoning Curse, and the theory behind that is your opponent is the only one special summoning. So if they shut you down turn 1, well, then you just play Summoning Curse and pass, and they cannot special summon. And if they do, every single time they do, they have to pick one of their cards and banish it from their hand. So they're going neg every single time. So eventually what happens is they end up with no hand, and they'll have a board presence, but it'll be very lackluster because they lost all the resources from their hand. And that applies for either player's turn. So like if it's my opponent's turn and they special summon, they banish a card. If it's my turn and my opponent special summons, they still banish cards, just whoever special summons. So that's it for my deck profile. I know it's not 100% complete because I am missing those 2 copies of Aether, and I would probably, looking at it now, honestly, I would probably take out a Prime Monarch, so I'd have 2 of those, because the other reason you want to have Prime Monarch not engraved is because it can recycle your other Monarch spell and trap cards into the deck, and you get to draw a card. So when you get into a grind game, it can come in really handy. So I think at least 2 is mandatory, but you can play 1. And then I would probably also take out 1 copy of Return, or maybe a copy of Trade-In. Yeah, probably 1 copy of Return, and then mandatory play 3 Aether. Really no questions about that. You should play 3 Aether. She's broken. That's it. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys thought of the deck profile, and I am out.